Hello, book people, PT here. Today I'm going to do a little comic book review for you, and it is a comic book series that I enjoyed immensely. It's one of the most fun reading experiences I've had probably this year so far, I would say, and that is The Omega Men, The End is Near, The End is Here. Written by Tom King with art by Barnaby Bagenda. This is a great story. It's a space adventure, but it's so much more than that. If you enjoy like maybe saga, you're into the space saga kind of things, I would highly recommend this book. I'm going to put it down and put some artwork up here because I don't want to hold it up anymore. But basically, the basics of the story, you don't need to know anything about the DC universe. This is a DC comic, but you don't need to know anything about DC. You don't need to know anything about really anything going into this. It's a self-contained story. It does star Kyle Rayner, who is a Green Lantern, and in this story, he's the White Lantern. You don't need to know what that means at all for this, though. So basically, what the story is it starts off with basically a televised execution of Kyle Rayner, where this group, the Omega Men, has Kyle Rayner and they kill him on live TV, seemingly kill him. We learn very quickly that is actually not the case. He's alive. But what it is there's this sector of space that's kind of run by this one organization. None of the Green Lanterns, who are kind of the police force of outer space. Again, you don't really need to know anything about them, but they're not, other than that they're not allowed in this sector. So this section is just run by this one organization, and there's this group called the Omega Men that are basically terrorists from the government perspective that are fighting against this government, and from the perspective of the Omega Men, though, they're freedom fighters. Kyle Rayner, our hero in this, is being held captive by the Omega Men, by this group. The universe thinks he's dead because of this televised thing, but he's being held captive by them. And it's a fascinating story because they're basically trying to win him over to join their group. And there's a lot of of moral questions, like, are they freedom fighters? Are they terrorists? Like, is the things that they're saying to him, is it true? Are they more like brainwashing him? There's a lot of really interesting moral questions here, and that's really the story of the book. Is this group of freedom fighters or terrorists, depending on your perspective, their backstories, what they're fighting against, the government's quest to take them down, and these two is basically this group trying to rebel against the government, and Kyle, along being held by this group, just trying to decide, is this something that I can support or not? What are the moral issues here? So that's the basics of the story, but it's absolutely fascinating. Tom King is a former CIA counter-terrorist officer, and just the authenticity comes through. There's a lot of parallels to our own world you can see, but something about it just feels like super authentic and feels like he knows what he's talking about in these scenes. Like especially that opening scene where they pretend to kill Kyle Rayner on TV. Like that just feels really like hauntingly real. Like it feels like something you would see like a terrorist organization chopping off someone's head on a video or whatever. That's what it feels like. It just feels very realistic, and the whole book feels like that. And it's just I don't think I've ever read a comic that like makes me think about so many moral questions where I'm like, I don't know which is the correct way. Should this group be supported, or are they terrorists? I don't know. So it's a fascinating story, but those moral questions aside, it's also like an amazing, awesome fun space adventure. As you start to learn the backstories of the different people, they all have a crazy backstory, and it's just a grand, awesome adventure. This would make a killer movie too, by the way. This would be awesome if they ever made this. The Omega Men are an old group in DC. They've been used in various different ways throughout the history of the DC universe, but this take is absolutely fabulous. So the artwork as well is very beautiful. It's got kind of almost a painted quality to it. I'll see if I can find a page to show you here that doesn't have any spoilery stuff on it. Just an example of the artwork. It's this kind of a style, which really worked for me. So that's the Omega Men. This collection is 12 issues. This trade paperback is pretty cheap. I think it was maybe, I got it for, I don't know, $15 or something like that on in-stock trades. So I highly recommend checking it out. If you're looking for a space adventure, like I said, if you're a fan of saga or other space adventure kind of stuff, I think you would very much like this. If this is your first time watching my channel, please consider subscribing. I put out new book reviews on Mondays and new comic reviews on Thursdays. Here's a couple videos you might like. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.